I welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living. I'm very glad that you're here with us, whether you're here on Zoom or on Facebook Live. And we are a center that is, for whom this theme for this month of diversity, oneness and diversity, and recognizing and honoring the diversity in all people, in all life, all people, all creatures, is just an automatic. It's what we are and who we've been all of our lives as a teaching and as a center. We are all about celebrating who we are, not because we need to all be the same, but because we want to be honoring the individual beauty and power and goodness that shows up in our lives. So that is true for you. We honor you, whoever you are. We respect and hold you in high esteem because we know who you are. You're an individual expression of a divine idea that it is known in God as truth and as life. So in that, we can say without question and doubt, we love you because we know who you are. We don't have to know your personality or your traits or how you look or any of that to be able to say with great conviction that you are loved. This is a place where you can come every week and any time to know that you are loved and appreciated for who you are. So I'm very happy you're here with us, very happy you've chosen to use this time with us in this place. So as a part of saying who we are and what we're about, we also have a declaration of principle that is our founding document in a way. It's that which guides all that we do in our center as we come together to create a space and a really rich and wonderful opportunity for everyone. And so I'll read the Declaration of Principle. I invite you to follow along as it will show up on your screen momentarily. I believe in one God, one absolute power and first cause to all things. I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love. I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience. I believe in the unity of all life, the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding. I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all. So it is. We use so it is a lot. That's the modern English version of amen. We don't try to sing it that way, but anyway. Our next thing up is a wonderful opportunity to learn and hear from one of our practitioners. Practitioners are licensed by Centers for Spiritual Living to do and bring forward our ability and power of prayer. That's basically what they're about, and what we call this very specific kind of prayer is spiritual mind treatment. And folks demonstrate they can use it in their lives and use it in for other people as well. Today, the wonderful Judy Ailey will be bringing us some words of wisdom and an affirmative prayer of spiritual mind treatment. Thank you, Judy. Go ahead.
All right. Welcome to August. The theme for this month is inclusion in action. And you know, right now, the world appears to be one of great division. We appear to be so divided about so many things, whether it's politics, whether you think the virus is even serious, whether you should wear a mask or not, and on and on and on. There are so many things that seem to divide us and make us different from other people. How can we ever bridge that gap of our differences? Well, I'm not here today to tell you what to think or believe about a particular issue or how to behave in the world. But what I am here to say this morning is that there is a way to know our oneness with all other people, even in the midst and in the appearance of division. Oneness does not mean sameness, and unity does not mean conformity. Every person on the planet is unique and different from all other people. And we each have unique ideas and gifts to share and an important part to play. I think that as we know our spiritual oneness with all of life and all people, we know that in the outpicturing of our differences, that at the heart level, there is a oneness and there is a unity. And at the heart level, there is a connection that is true for us and everyone else, no matter what those appearances may seem to be on the outside. There is a humanness to each and every person that allows us to know our oneness and to create an inclusive community for all. And you know, this week, I watched I still think about John Lewis and his life. And when I was watching the memorial service for him, that experience for me was a real balm of seeing that the outward appearances and the differences really do fade away, that there is a oneness and a wholeness and a connection. And I think John Lewis knew this in his life, and he lived his life from that place. And we can do that too. I have a quote that I want to read to you from the Science of Mind textbook from Ernest Holmes. And this is actually in the section called Law of Attraction, but it speaks to what we're talking about right now. God in me is unified with God in all. This one is now drawing into my life all love and fellowship. I am one with all people, with all things, and with all life. As I listen in the silence, the voice of all humanity speaks to me and answers the love that I hold out to it. All right. Well, with that, I'd like to take us into an affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment. So if you'll just find yourself and find yourself comfortable in your seat, and just allow yourself to take a nice couple slow deep breaths. I'm going to do this treatment in the first person, but please accept it for yourself. Let's go to that place inside where we know our oneness, our wholeness, our connection, even with the appearance of divisiveness and differences all around us. I recognize and know that there is one power, one presence, one life, one love, one eternal goodness that surrounds all of life, that permeates life, that fills me, that fills and expresses through everything in life, everything in the world around me and through me. I know that this is the truth. I know that this power and this presence is one. It is whole. It is complete unto itself. It is never divided against itself. It is whole. It is complete. So I know for myself at the heart level that I am one, that I am connected to all of life, to every other person on the planet, to all other things, no matter what the outward appearance may be. I know that this wholeness, this perfection, this spiritual purity at the heart of me is at the heart of every other person. I know that this spiritual perfection, this divine spark, allows me to live a life of great abundance, that it allows me to live a life that is filled with health and vitality of every kind. It allows me to live a life that is filled with love and peace and new ideas and fullness. As I go about my life, I see many opportunities to express love and to know this oneness and this connection that I have with others. Even in the face of what may appear to be a difference, I know that there is a divine spark, there is a wholeness, there is a connection that is perfect and true. I turn away from any idea that this one power is ever divided against itself. I turn away from any idea of the necessity of struggle or strain or just division of any kind. I know that behind the appearance of it all, that there is a wholeness, that there is a peace, that there is a love, and that each of us has our unique gift and our unique part to play in the expression of the goodness of the world and the wholeness. So it is with great thanksgiving that I know this, for myself, and I know this for each person that is listening and a part of this moment right here and right now. So I release this, knowing that it is so, and so it is.
Right. Let's get together and feel all right. Now, some of that song may need a little translation into Science of Mind language or into Oneness language, but the truth is, Lord is law in this teaching, and there's just, the Creator is always present and always going to be here, and that's the way it goes, and that's exciting to me. So, you've heard it already from Judy. You'll hear it, continue to hear it from me as well. We have a world that's in a lot of pain right now. Not that the world hasn't always been in a lot of pain. It just, thanks to our internet and our ability to see pictures and to communicate more effectively with one another, we are really able to see that. It's in our living rooms. It's on our computers. It's on our cell phones. It's on your wrist. If you've got a wristwatch that shows you Facebook and shows you all this happening in the world. And there are times, I don't know how you are with this, but there are times when I just feel deep, deep, deep sadness. And I am overwhelmed with it. I feel like I hear so much pain. I see so much pain around us. People hurting each other, people attacking each other, people doing all sorts of things. I'm always inspired by those voices, which are offering us something different. And yet they sometimes appear to be few and far between. I don't believe they are, but they appear to be. However, so all this pain that comes out from what we do to each other, and what both intentionally and unintentionally, knowingly and not knowingly, there's a deeper pain. There's a deeper pain that all human beings are experiencing at some level, in some way, at different times. And that is, within each and every one of us is a clear knowing that we are one with all, that we are connected, that there is a oneness at work. Now, that awareness might be well buried and well hidden within us, and often behind these other ideas and thoughts that we carry. But that oneness, that power of that oneness is always there. And I believe another way to look at the chaos of what's going on right now in the world is to consider that instead of all the horrible that we're doing to each other, what we're really doing is trying to reconnect with that oneness within us. And we're doing all kinds of things on the outside to attempt to do it, as well as on the inside. There are a lot of responses to needing to feel one and needing to feel a certain connection with our communities, with our people, with our families. One of the things that many people do is let's eliminate the other. One way to know that I am one and know that I'm connected with the one is to get rid of everything that isn't like me. And hence we have this awareness of our huge prejudices, our racism, our ageism, our isms, all of those isms that come up are coming up not because people are bad, but because people are trying to find the only way they know to get to that sense of oneness. And it's our job in this teaching, I think, to teach otherwise. So one of those approaches is to eliminate the other, and that's been true for a long time. There's, in some languages, the tribe or the group, the family group, were called humans, and everyone else wasn't. And goodness knows we've had those kinds of horrible discussions in our world in the last 50 years and much more recently. The other thing we often do is just, let's just don't look at it. Maybe it'll go away. You know, it's been a thing in science of mind and in New Thought teachings for a long time. Don't watch the news. Don't see all the negative stuff out there, because we need to keep a positive attitude, and therefore we're just going to not look at what's really going on. And that's called spiritual bypass. Because if we don't look at it, we can't change it. Ernest Holmes said, look at a problem and look at it squarely and call it a problem, and look at it until it doesn't look like a problem anymore, until you see through it and you can transform it in what you're seeing, not by turning away. Now, granted, if the news gets you down to the point that you can't think straight, don't hang in there all the time. Don't live there. But watch enough to know what's going on and look at it from the perspective of who you are. And one of our earlier teachers, Raymond Charles Barker, used to start his day reading the newspaper back. I don't know if any of you remember newspapers, but back when we actually did those and had them. And he would start on his morning paper and he'd read it cover to cover, supposedly the New York Times. That probably took a while, about the same amount of my morning coffee time. And he would finish up, he'd close it, he'd slam it down on the table and say, not a word of truth in it. It is a call to prayer. It's a call to treatment. It's a call to knowing and seeing a deeper and greater truth. And that's how he treated all of it. Those horror stories, those things that showed up in the news that needed to be looked at and done differently, were all done and all seen as a request for knowing oneness, for knowing something better, for bringing something truthful to it. Because we all know, we've said it, you've heard it already today, oneness does not mean sameness. You know, for many of us, a major part of our communications in the world right now is Facebook, YouTube, and similar kinds of programming. Well, it's very curious, and I think a disservice, that Facebook scans everything you put out there. YouTube scans everything you put out there for keywords. And then it always feeds back to you those things that are your keywords, those things that agree with you. And what's begun to happen, and what is happening, it's not just begun, it's now in full steam, is that we are dividing the world even further and further, and the algorithms in Facebook and YouTube and those kind of places are helping with that. I mean, goodness knows, we all prefer to read things we like, right? However, this has gone to the point where it's sometimes difficult to see anything else. I occasionally go through and say what I'm not interested in. You have an option to do that. Or I go on news media that is the opposite of what I think. Or I go to sites on Facebook that don't agree with me, just so that I can see that it's not all one siloed sameness. Diversity requires us to know that oneness does not mean sameness. We do, and we can, and we must turn our thoughts and recognize the beautiful, wonderful diversity of all kinds of levels and areas that's out there. So whether it's Facebook or whatever, take some intention, spend some intention and some time doing that. So the real shift that has to happen here is an inside job. It's not something we need to do to someone else. It's not something, yes, those external kinds of causes and such need to come forward, and I'm not condemning any of them. I condemn anytime it's hurting someone else or making them wrong. If we can learn to see and recognize what's possible in each other, we can move forward. But the real challenge, because another way that people tend to want to create oneness by changing things, we do it to ourselves in our own hearts. How many of you how many of you would ever talk to anyone else the way you talk to yourself? You know, we just wouldn't do it. We judge ourselves. We take parts of ourselves and name them as other, and either try to attack them so they'll go away, or ignore them so we won't be influenced by them, rather than looking squarely at them to begin to recognize how they fit into the wholeness that we are, to the unity that we are, and then begin to transform them into a greater expression of the truth of oneness, the truth of life, the truth of spirit. You know, that's what the whole process of spiritual growth is about. It's about forgiving ourselves, and it's about embracing better ideas of ourselves. It's about moving forward and then doing that for other people as well, and how we see and think and look and think about other people. Because all of us not only want to have that deep awareness within us of the one and oneness, we also want to have that in our experience as well. That's why the world is struggling so for this right now. We're saying we know it's real, we know it's true, we ought to have it. How do we get it? And the world keeps going there. However, I think the place we all have to start is in the inner space, in the mindfulness. So I want to share with you a word from Eckhart Tolle here. And there it is. Bear with me for a moment. You've already seen that one, or heard that one. So here's the idea from Eckhart Tolle. He says, be aware that what you think, to a large extent, creates the emotions that you feel. See the link between your thinking and your emotions. This is a really important part. Rather than being your thoughts and emotions, identifying with that as that's who you are, what you think about and what you feel, instead be aware of the awareness that's behind them. Ernest Holmes says, you're the thinker of the thoughts, not the thoughts. You're the creator of the ideas, not the idea. So when we have these ideas, whether they are the most gorgeous, beautiful, fabulous, positive, life-changing, affirming thoughts that give us cold chills and make us excited, or whether they are the most awful, self-deprecating ideas that we can think of and that are there and natural in our lives at times. Neither of those is who you are. Who you are is the thinker behind the thoughts, the thinker dwelling within that great sense of that awareness, that consciousness that is united with the one, that is the expression of the one, and that's all that it is or can be. That is the real power of changing your life, is by getting in touch with that idea and allowing yourself to work with it and be guided by it in your own personal experience. So how do you do that? You practice mindfulness. In my introductory course, one of the introductory courses to this teaching, one of the things I say is, before you start trying to figure out anything else, just carry something around in your pocket that you can write on, your cell phone or paper if you still use paper or whatever, and just make note of the things that you think about, the things that your thoughts drop into at any given time. And just notice the habits. What is this thought? What is going on? And as you begin to notice that, out of those thoughts and out of the feelings related to it, that's what creates a lot of your experience. But recognizing that that's not who you are, there's something more behind it, gives you the power to change it. Gives you the power to do something better. You can choose what you believe. You can choose what you think. You can choose what you know. Takes a little work, takes a little practice, but you can do it. Absolutely, without question. And then in this current context that we're talking about, make a conscious effort to recognize, as you're looking within, as you're looking from that perspective of I'm the thinker, what are my thoughts? Come, make an effort to recognize, where is diversity? How do I really think about diversity as creation? I mean, I can fall in love with the colors of a sunset, or the sounds of music, or the feelings that come from walking through nature, and that's all wonderful. How about when I'm faced with the idea that someone is throwing rocks? or fire, out of a desire to find oneness, out of a desire to be recognized and seen and appreciated. Can I honor that diversity as it shows up? A little tougher, perhaps. Are there things in me that would work against that? That would rather hear from one group of people than another, that would rather recognize one group of people than another. We are so born into this culture. This is not about individuals being wrong or bad or whatever. It is about a culture that, for many of us, we aren't even aware of how we are affected in our attitudes towards one another. Yeah, I think I will say this. We got an email, a very wonderful email, and I'm very appreciative of it, from someone who saw our titles for later in the month. And one of them was colorful or colorblind, which is coming up. Cynthia's going to be talking about that on the third week. And this person said, for someone who is not able to see at all and has never seen color, you're not including them in the diversity. I'd never thought of that. I worked with that around hearing because I did a lot of work with that when I was at home office and trying to create ways that non-hearing people could participate in our classes and in all that we're doing. But I hadn't thought about that with color. So we have to get clear within us and keep asking and looking for, what are these ways that I am cutting out other people's diversity? How ways I'm not recognizing them as full-blown creations? And it's kind of hard sometimes. Your ego will have a fit with that. Wow, that's not me. I wasn't trying, and I wasn't doing anything in those type titles to eliminate anybody, but my lack of awareness was eliminating their feeling and their connections. Sorry, Cynthia, if I stole some of your stuff. The third thing to do is to set an intention for inclusion. See, one of the powerful things about intention is when I set an intention, I put a demand upon spiritual law, and that power, that oneness, that goodness that is flowing through everything does the only thing it can do, which is say yes. I mean, that's pretty cool to have a user God that says yes to whatever we're truly intending out of our highest and greatest feelings and thoughts. Sometimes it says yes to things we just assumed somebody would have corrected us ahead of time, but it still says yes. You want to walk, it says yes. You want to talk, it says yes. You've learned how, you develop it. It happens in your brain, it happens in your physiology. You want to say, I'm stupid, it says yes. No, don't go there. So set the intention for diversity, to recognize it, to include all forms of creation in your appreciation, in your love, and in all that you would give. Put a demand on the law, because it will support you. And the you that is above and beyond your thoughts and feelings, it is not trapped in your thoughts and feelings, will recognize that, see it, and will begin to shift. It will begin to shift, and you will begin to shift those thoughts, those feelings into a deeper and greater place. So I started out saying there's a deeper hunger in all of us. A hunger to recognize, to feel, and to know that we are connected to the oneness, that we are the oneness in our own individual expression. And your hunger may be satisfied. You may be very clear about that, and it doesn't feel like hunger, and hallelujah. But you're always invited to get more and more clear about it, because that oneness is infinite. And the irritating thing about that is it means you're never finished. That's why we desire to express more, we desire to expand, we desire to be more, because we are embracing and expressing that one power within us as it shows up in our various diversified ways of thinking and being and knowing. So I invite you to do those three things. Be mindful, make a conscious effort, and set intentions around oneness and around inclusion, because It will serve you because you are wonderful, and so am I, and so it is. So I want to invite you to take a few moments to join me in a bit of meditation and treatment. I'm going to invite you to participate in the, sorry, I got to pull this up. In a practice that I've done for many, many years, based out of Bali, in the Balinese world, which is a heart-opening meditation. And we're going to do just the first part of it. So I invite you to be still, take a moment, get into a place where you can easily and comfortably feel and express yourself. Where with a deep breath, you turn your attention from the world around you to the world within you. And allow all of the words and the things that you've heard to simply kind of drift away as you drift into a greater sense of yourself. And follow your breath. Imagine as you're breathing and you're feeling those breaths in and out. Follow that. Let your conscious awareness follow it down into your heart. Your breath, when it comes in, surrounds your heart. As you feel that breath surrounding, become aware of your heart. How does it feel? Does it feel small and constricted and difficult and tough and protected? Or is it possible to open it? Letting your breath drop into the center of your heart. Imagine how the world looks from inside your divine heart, your metaphysical heart, your metaphorical heart. Imagine what you see in there. Use your imagination to look around in your heart and see what's there. Are there different rooms and chambers? Are there areas that are closed off? Is there an unforgiveness corner where you just can't let go something and you hold that judgment in your heart? Is there an area where you see all of the people who have shown you love and taught you how to love and be the beloved? A room full of light and joy. Is there a room for the divine, or is it filling the whole thing? So with each breath, you don't need to do anything in particular. You don't need to rethink any of those judgments, thoughts, or feelings. Simply be aware. And invite the window at the back of your heart to open. And begin to flood your heart with golden white light. Golden white light is the image of love. So if you're a visualizer, imagine it as that. If you're someone who operates with sound mostly, imagine the sound of love flooding your heart. Divine, untouched, unconditional, eternal love, always eternal love. And as that light shines in, imagine it shining into every window, to every part of your heart, to those areas where perhaps there is unforgiveness. Just let the light shine in there. You don't need to do anything else. Fill that space. Allow it to bring you peace. So from this open-hearted place, I recognize the truth of who I am. I am more than my thoughts, more than my feelings, more than my imaginations. I am a part and an expression of divine, infinite consciousness. An infinite mind, we once called it. But it's really an infinite consciousness. And that infinite consciousness has taken shape and form and made a choice to look like me and to act like me and to think like me and to be like me. Spirit itself, God itself, has taken shape and form as me. And that means as I look around my world, it has also taken shape and form as every other human being in every other form, whether it's what we call inanimate or not. This one power, this one consciousness, this one love, this one spirit, God, has taken that shape. So I am touched by this awareness. It means I am of infinite positive value to life itself. I am important. I matter. And so does everyone else, regardless of how they look or what they say or how they think. They too are expressions of the divine. And I set the intention to be inclusive, to open my heart to the inclusion and the recognition of the divinity, the divine power and consciousness within every person. And I set the intention to have my expression of the divine show up in more clarity and congruence with the truth of what that is. I release any idea that I am separate, indifferent, or strange, or any of those other words I might use for myself. I release any ideas that others are separate and different and strange. They are unique. They are my alter egos. They are the truth of life showing up in all of its different forms and ideas and thoughts and shapes. And so I honor the Spirit of God within each one. I celebrate it. I look for it when I don't see it. I demand to see the good in every situation. And Spirit says yes. So as I do, and as I live in this place, I do all that I can do, which is to drop into the awareness of what gratitude I have. Gratitude that life is unfolding in this way for me. And I release any blockages to my words, my thoughts, and my truth. So in this gratitude and ease and joy, I release this treatment now, knowing it is complete, it is done. It is now the mind of God. It is now the mind of that infinite consciousness that lies behind everything that I am and shows up in it. With this gratitude and with this truth, I can release this now, knowing these words are complete and begin to unfold into my life with ease, with joy, and with power. I let this be so, and so it is. And so I thank you for your participation and attention. We're going to hear now from one of our board members, who's also, you recognize from our her third Sunday talks, the Reverend Cynthia McCarthy.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. So I am lucky to serve on the Board of Trustees here at CSL Midtown. And I want to take a moment to say thank you. We're taught from an early age that when someone gives you a gift, you say thank you. And I want everyone in our community to know that we see your gifts and we recognize them, and we are very grateful for your time, your talent, your treasures, and all the ways that you are giving and serving this center and providing for us. So we are very grateful for that. There are many ways that you can contribute for us. We have in the chat, we have the link to the website, and you can still send in a paper check if you'd like. We can do that through the mail. The address is there in the chat box. And we have a new system for donating, which is fantastic and easy. I highly recommend it. That's on the website as well. You can access that. So as we have this moment of gratitude, we'd like to read our affirmation for prosperity. You can put that up. And I really invite you, this isn't even just limited to your giving to the center. It is in all the ways you share and give in your life, because we know we are all giving people. So take this for yourself. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow. And all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. Now we have some announcements. Let's see, so our theme for the month, we already covered that, inclusion in action. It's an exciting month. We have a lot of fun talks planned. So next week, this says, that's today's talk title. I don't know what next week's is, darn it. It's going to be amazing. Don't worry.
Who we are. Who we are.
It's who we are. Ooh, that's going to be fun. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dr. Bob. So today, after the online service, we have something special planned. We know when we used to meet in person on the first Sunday of every month, we would stay late and have some coffee and kind of chat with each other. And we miss that. We miss having the opportunity to get a little bit face-to-face and chat and catch up with each other. So we are going to give this a spin, doing this virtually. We're going to have a little break where you can, but it's still the same Zoom link. So you'll still be here. You can stay on here, step away if you want to get some coffee, use the restroom, whatever you need to do. So about 10-minute break. And then we'll come back and we'll have a little chat and get to know each other a little bit. And if you're new, we really invite you to do this. If you're watching on Facebook Live, you can still join us. In our Facebook, it has the link for the Zoom. So you can still access that on our Facebook page. So you could still pop over to the Zoom if you want to join us. So definitely do that today. What else do we have? We still have the online spiritual empowerment sessions going on during the week, just on Tuesdays now. So if you need to check in, Reverend Dr. Bob does a treatment. We can check in about what's going on with our life and what we might need some support with. It is fantastic. I highly recommend. Dr. Bob has a new class coming up called Transforming Fear to Faith, which is so exciting for what's going on in the world. We know we've got a lot of fears going on everywhere. So this is a really exciting thing. It's going to start August 12th, Wednesday nights, and then August 13th, you could also do the Thursday morning option if you'd like. So you've got a daytime option, you've got an evening option, and I'm blown away by this price point, $60. This is a 4-week class with Reverend Dr. Bob. If you have not taken a class with him before, you build a community, you make friends, the material's amazing, his experience and his teaching is amazing. So highly, highly recommend that. I've already registered, you should do it. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's see. So starting August 9th, that's next Sunday, right? Next Sunday, we're gonna start doing the adult study before the service. And is it the same Zoom link? I'm not sure. Yes? No? Different Zoom link. Okay. And that will be on the website. We'll put that on Facebook too. You'll be able to see it there. So this is exciting. This is using the Science of Mind textbook, and you're just going through. It has like I think it has daily readings, right? And so at that Sunday, you'll just have read everything for that week. And even if you haven't, you should tune in and check. And it'll be so informative. It just really helps, especially if you're new to the teaching. It's our foundation teaching. It's by Ernest Holmes. So Highly recommend that. We already talked about the new system for contributing. So easy. Do it if you haven't yet. We have practitioners who have put some of their contact information in the chat box. If you want some private prayer work and want to reach out for some help and support there. Gosh, I think that was everything, right? Good. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Cynthia. So before we do the closing, this one thing, if you will, before you take the 10-minute break, if you'd like, stick around, because we're going to celebrate birthdays after we turn off the recording and Facebook, because you may not want to be showing up on Facebook that way. And then we'll take a break after that. Also, if you are on Facebook listening to this, thank you. We're glad you're with us. And if you'd like to tune in to after the 10-minute break, go to our website, cslmidtown.org, and you'll find the link there for the Sunday morning, which is also the link for that we'll continue to use. So come and join us, and we'll have a conversation about ourselves and about life and whatever else shows up. So thank you. And if that's not to your liking, that's just fine too. You're not required. There's nothing required here. So here's what we always close with. It is our affirmation of life. It is the affirmation on what has taken place today. And it says, I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding. I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is.